Let's look at it from a technological point of view. First of all, with Pratyahara, we're going to look at a variety of different diagrams. So, in life, we have our personality. Okay, and we talked about the soul and incarnation, which is called essence. Energy comes from the soul on its own plane, comes through the soul and incarnation. Try to use the analogy, it's like a distributor cap. A distributor in a car engine. You get the energy from the battery, and then it goes, and the electricity goes and feeds everything. So Gurdjieff didn't use the word battery, he used the word accumulator. You have a great accumulator and then a greater accumulator. So the energy comes down, then it shoots out, it feeds every aspect of your being. So energy is moving outwards. Right now, even though you're not talking, you're watching me, a certain amount of energy through your eyes. Your consciousness works through the consciousness related to your eyes, which is one of the Vijnanas, it's called. Anyways, and I'm talking, I'm giving energy out. So energy is always going outwards in life. But Pratyahara in meditation, we want to take that energy and bring it back into the center. We have to build a center of awareness. Oops. It doesn't matter what system, whether you want to use a Kabbalistic system, you don't use Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist. The process is the same. The beauty of the Yoga Sutras is it's neutral. The technology of the Yoga Sutra is the same no matter which path you choose. It's, it's like, I don't know, having an all-purpose tool, or like a Swiss Army knife. It'll work for everything. Okay? So you want to pull this energy that's going out. That's why you meditate. When you meditate, you try and quiet. Everything has motion. You're trying to take the motion of the different aspects of your personality and bring them to a center point. That is basically what you're trying to do when we visualize the flame. You can visualize the flame, a sun, a Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad. It doesn't matter who you put there, but it should be something that has a spiritual aspect to it. Okay. So, any questions on that? Yes, Peter.
Christianity have something that they do, like...
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
I don't know if Christianity has meditation per se, so how would they categorize this process?
Oh, I have no idea.
All right.
What I'm saying, if you were a Christian and you want to do this, it's not in conflict. Maybe thousands of years ago, the Essenes maybe had some form, but they didn't. They may say it in a different way, but this process is the same.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it was underlying all religions and...
Yeah, but on a higher level,
Okay.
not on the churchiology level.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. That's why so many people are leaving organized religion and looking spirituality. But this is esoteric. It's not easy to find this kind of information. Okay, there's a little book his name is, I don't know what his first name, his last name is Taimini. He was a theosophist in the 50s. He was Indian. He was a yogi. He lived outside of Adyar, and he wrote a book, The Science of Yoga, which is a translation of the Yoga Sutras, both in Sanskrit with English, and his commentary. he puts a couple of these type of diagrams that gave me some inspiration and insight. But he's experienced. He's not writing on a scholastic level. He's experiential. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway, so let's look at this a little further. This is the basics, okay, of the main hypothesis. But then you have to look at something else. So, excuse my drawing here because I'm going quickly. It's a guy meditating. Whoops, I forgot his shoulders are all... Anyway, so guy's sitting in meditation. Yeah, there you go. So you're visualizing a flame. Okay, so the flame, of course, you're visualizing internally, but I have to express it in two dimensionals, external. So you have force moving in this direction. So you have the individual is the seer, the one who sees. Okay? Then you have the flame is the object that is being seen. But you have the flow of energy is the act of seeing. These are three forces that are constant in almost everything we do in life. Is one of the most hidden concepts of three forces. You can apply it to almost everything you do. I used to apply it to martial arts when I was sparring. There's always three forces. Especially when somebody's going to punch you, you've got to see it, recognize it, and respond. There's always three things occurring. So, there is this relationship. How would you say, creating this relationship, and here you have a certain amount of space. So you have to apply this to yourself when you're meditating. When you visualize and you see, we'll use the flame, there's a space, whether it's close or far, and then the flame's usually bouncing around or moving. First step is to stabilize it. So Pratyahara is when you really start to focus on this flame, and you start to understand this relationship between you and the object. Because what's happening is you both have I'm just going to say there's still thoughts that are going. You might be trying to visualize and all of a sudden, oh, I got to go to the bank later. Or, oh, I got to do this. You have to be observing everything. And in the meantime, trying to focus. You're not trying to stop your thoughts, but you're redirecting your thoughts. So when we go another step, if you have any questions, is the space between you and the flame starts to get shorter. As it gets shorter, tension starts to build. Because though you can't see it, you're dealing in matter, different aspects of matter. So as this relationship, that's when you start to get into Dharana. The flame becomes very stable, but the space, when you're just working on Pratyahara, and before you get to the level of Pratyahara, there's a large space. Then the space becomes shorter and more intense. all external thoughts have stopped. With Pratyahara, you should be withdrawing from the senses. Okay, so you can tell when you've achieved a certain level of pratyahara is that you can feel it almost as if you're touching it. It's like a silence encloses you. Feel like a silence. Thoughts disappear on their own. Some of them are still going, but they're not impacting on you. You enter into a period of silence. As you get into Dharana, that silence increases. It becomes as if you can touch it. I don't know, you feel it. It's more through feeling. Now, there's another thing that occurs here that is more difficult, okay, which is a clue, is when you start to get to this level, this arrow becomes a double arrow. It's not easy to explain. This is when you can split your awareness. That the energy is going out, like we're talking about the act of seeing, but you can also turn it back and see who is seeing. You see in this direction, but you see in that direction. The arrow is double pointed. When this begins to happen, we talked about the soul and incarnation yesterday. That soul and incarnation is awakening much fuller. So most of us, if you start to study this relationship with your visualization, you'll feel that you're visualizing, even though you're trying to center in your heart, but you can feel your head. It's like as if you're coming. When this occurs, the drawing is now there, your awareness drops. And if this is the person, your chakras are more here, not in the center and not in the front, they're in the back. But your awareness becomes back out here. It drops, it changes. Then you start to become heart-centered. Right now, when you're visualizing or up here, you're using an aspect of your intellectual center. And you're using a higher aspect related, call it to personal will. But then eventually it drops here and you can feel. Then when this occurs, then you are in your essence. And you can start to see, I don't know how else to draw it, but sort of like thought forms of your personality, of the personality. It's like a group of thoughts all together that have a form. You start to see them, you're separating from your personality and becoming what the Tibetan master calls a soul-infused personality. You are an awakened soul. We're all in the process of awakening. But when you can achieve this, then you become an awakened soul. This eventually crystallizes. This is what becomes the initiate. But it uses the body. Now, go just a little further.
Can I ask just one quick question?
Oh, sure, of course. Ask
You
questions.
say that when you get closer to Dharana, it draws down your awareness. From most readings and stuff that I know, it says that work on the chakra starts at the base chakra, the sacral chakra, right?
No.
Period.
Shouldn't work on your chakras at all. Should ignore them. Okay? Chakras should be ignored. Tibetan master is very adamant on that, and my teacher was very adamant on that. The only chakra you're interested in is the heart chakra. Tibetan master says you have a choice between the heart chakra and the head chakra. Okay? He says, but people in the West, because we're so intellectually focused, because of our education, the way our society is, we should be more focused in the heart chakra. The other chakras will transform and develop themselves as you study and do meditation. As you meditate, they are, how do you call it? They are set. Okay, and you should not try to interfere with them. They will evolve as you evolve. And you should know, a Tibetan master mentions that the study of the chakras in the time of Atlantis was called Laya Yoga. And back then, in the early stages, humanity was getting coordination over the physical body. Thus, they were made aware of their chakras to focus and create coordination, and they did Hatha Yoga. That was the yoga of that period. This period, it's Raja Yoga, not Hatha Yoga. And you don't have to, chakras are developed. They increase through study and meditation, chanting. You should not put any concentration on your chakras. I never do. If you're doing martial arts and you want to focus in the Nadi chakra, which is just below the belly button, that's going to learn how to do what's called yogic breath or chi breath, or depending on the way you're studying. But you're not really focusing on the chakra. You know, you can experiment a little bit. I used to do walking meditations, and I'd focus at the top of my head, the heart, and the nadi, and just see what the different feeling is, but only for a short time. Because there is a difference in feeling, if you can feel it. Anybody else have any questions? I like questions.
So in Dharana, you want to eventually centering your awareness in your heart.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to center it.
So
in
it
our
drops,
heart.
and at that point your intellect is not.
It's gone.
Right.
Yeah, you're more intuitive and higher mind. Or silence, and you get maybe inspiration or something.
So it's not a projection anymore, it's more pulling in now.
Totally pulling in. Okay, you have to pull in. Pulling in starts here.
Right.
But it has to be done gently. You
Right.
can't use your force. You have to visualize, and it's moving, and you keep building and building. So you're using your intellect as the creative force to build. Just like, you know, if you're at work and maybe, say, if you're an architect, you use your creative imagination to visualize maybe the building, but then you go down and start doing the plans, and it's the same thing. We're using the creative forces, what's called Kriya Shakti, okay, the higher part of the intellect. It's closer to your soul. And you're using imagination is good, but it's imagination, not thinking fantasy about spaceships and flying saucers, which is imagination. You're building in a creative aspect to develop your being. Any questions? I was going to do something else. So, this aspect of the double-pointed arrow is very important, very difficult, and very important. With this double-pointed arrow, there are three aspects in meditation, other than what I just showed you. Just add more in. So when we were, one second. When we're looking at this, you have the seer who's looking just at the object, okay? But on the higher level, it's to see the seer. Oops. So you're still focused, but you have to see the seer. Your awareness is going in two directions. So you're actually entering into a higher dimension. That's step number one. When you can do that, then you're starting to make good progress. Peter?
Would that be astral, or does that factor in?
It's more mental. You want to sort of get above the astral plane. You're not working on an emotional level. Okay. There are three aspects. So this is number one. That to come. One of the ways to accomplish it, I just wrote on myself, is take a book. Meditate when you read a book. Try to hold the visualization of the flame and read. And see what happens. You'll see right away you lose the flame's gone and you're reading away and not even aware that you stopped visualizing. But when you can do it, you'll know it. Then you start to be able to split your awareness, to be in the inner world and the outer world. The Master KH talks about this in the Mahatma letters. I forget where. Very important, very esoteric. You will hardly find this anywhere. So from see the seer, more difficult, but once you've accomplished that, is to feel the feeler. Once you can see the seer, you have to feel the seer. You've got to be able to feel your awareness. Very subtle feeling. When you can feel the feeler, then you become much more conscious of the inner worlds because it's based on higher feelings, closer to buddhi. You start to feel. A much higher level, which I've not experienced yet, I don't think, is be aware. This one, it's hard to explain, be aware. Whoops. It's being aware of the awareness, or what this is called in Sanskrit, prajna. Achieving a level of prajna. HPB mentions it in the 7th level, very advanced level. Be aware of the totality of awareness. First thing, though, is to create the double-pointed arrow. It's a very good, I worked on it for years, double-pointed arrow. Yes?
So is this the same process when they say to meditate on an object and the object starts giving you information?
Nope.
Is it the same process?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
I do have the distinct experience when trying to
I'm sorry?
I have at times been in conflict with myself visualizing the flame in the sense that sometimes my mood naturally puts me in a place where I visualize the flame from a first person. I don't visualize my body. I kind of try to imagine the flame like right here as if I was looking down. As opposed to other days where my mind kind of just naturally wanders to a space where I try to see myself third person with the flame in my chest. I try to, make my face, my head, my whole body. But I don't, it really depends on like the meditation. Like one day I'll feel more inclined to do it this way, the other day. I've never really put a lot of importance on that.
Right, but there is. So all that stuff is taking you away from your purpose. Okay? The whole thing with yoga or this type of meditation, it's based on the number 1. You don't change it. You don't, on my mood. As soon as you come to mood, it's different different person doing a different thing. Then there's no solidity. There's no awakening. When we went back, There's no building of a center of awareness. There's, oh, this one wants to do this today. This wants to do this today. Which happens with many, many people. And consequently, this is forgotten about and not known, and it becomes stays a mystery. But tell you what, because he put up his hand right away.
Yeah,
What were you
for
saying?
example, like focusing on a plant or something and
Okay, about the
tuning
okay.
into it and having information come back to you about
Okay, that shouldn't even be a consideration.
it. Okay,
Okay, shouldn't even think about it. But it does happen.
right.
It will happen. It's not you doing it. When it's ready, it will happen. But that's at, where am I? Whoops. Excuse me. That's at this level. So that's a long way away. You shouldn't even worry about it.
But that's the same stage when the arrows start moving both ways, right?
Yes, you're at that, you're beyond that level. There is no arrow.
Oh, at that point.
Yeah.
So where does the double-pointed arrow come in? At the Dharana?
These two.
In between there?
Advanced level of this, then the Dharana disappear. There is no arrow.
At that point.
Right, otherwise how do you communicate with the plant or whatever?
Right.
There's
So
only-
you're just one with it at that
Yeah.
point.
So no arrow. Any other questions? This is not easy stuff. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Sam.
I want to ask you, you said to neglect the chakras, right?
Yes.
So, are the chakras naturally closed, or do they open, or, because they're called wheels, right?
Yes, that's
Or
what
do,
chak-
or do they sometimes close and open? I said some,
It's like a flower.
it's a flower.
So a flower comes up, it's closed bud, and then as the day or weeks pass and it slowly opens. So as you evolve through time, these chakras are evolving and opening. So in most of us, the lower chakras, the base chakra has to be open because there's only 4 petals, otherwise we wouldn't function at all. Okay, then the sacral chakra, that's where the focus of most of our feeling of I is. That's functioning, and well, look at our world. We're all running around want to have sex or look pretty or whatever. And then the solar plexus is more open, has through aeons, because that's the relation between the environment and our sentiency. But it's the heart chakra, throat chakra, and then there's the ajna chakra, and then behind the ajna chakra, there's the I just forgot the name. There's another chakra behind, which is more active, because the ajna doesn't open till much later, but our intellect. But then there's the brahmarandra, which is inside, and then the sahasrara opens, which on top. So there's more than 7 chakras. The head chakras reflects all the 7 chakras. So the lower chakras are open, but as you meditate, study, help people, charitable, compassionate, those chakras will open like a bud on their own. And yes, it is a wheel. And it is said, I got a glimpse once, I don't know why, but meditating in the group, and all of a sudden I could see the chakras of everybody, and they start to become radiant because we're all chanting and meditating, and then disappeared. So they evolved to a much higher level. But it's over time, but not through any focus. Any other kind? Yes, Carmen.
I would like to, I read different representations of the chakras. Some are the lotus, like horizontal. Some are like vertical, that have like 2 openings, one towards the front and one towards the back. You mentioned that in the third lever, the chakras move towards the back. So how does this work?
No, they are. They don't move. They are. It's where they are. They're not in your physical body. They're in your etheric and astral body. And there's also chakras. There's chakras on the mental plane, but there's not as many. Astral, etheric, not in the physical.
Well, I know that they are not in the physical, but how do they, and which direction they turn?
I don't know. It's not important. They do. Hopefully they're turning clockwise.
Well, this one, the heart that you say that, we have to concentrate. So is it horizontal or vertical?
Generally, they're shown as horizontal.
Horizontal.
Okay, but but you're not picturing the chakra. You're just centering in the place of the chakra.
I know, but when I visualize, I have to see something.
Yes, you visualize a flame or the lotus. That's why I say lotus, so that you can create a picture of a rose or like a lotus.
So it's horizontal.
And then you put, you put a flame.
Well, that was my question. If they
Yeah.
are horizontal, because I've
Yes.
seen the other way, that are radiating energy in both ways.
Yeah. It's just that the chakras are located at the back, not at the front. Okay, where's the picture?
At the beginning.
Oh, is it?
Over here? No, it's right
Oh, they're
here.
here, I covered up. So coming to this one, so the chakras are at the back, spinning. Okay. They're at the back. They're not in the center of the body, they're not in the front. They're more to the back.
Yeah, because you said that they would move eventually from the front, so...
I didn't say the chakras would move, I said your awareness moves.
Okay.
Okay, I said it moves from your head to your heart, not the chakra. Chakras stay there all the time.
Because you had the lines.
Yeah, there's a line, I
No,
did.
down, the other one, see? If
Yes,
you move-
that's the awareness, the center of awareness.
There are two more lines.
Which one's this
Oh,
one?
vertical, yeah, vertical ones.
This thing here,
No, down. There are two lines, vertical. And in front of that, there are two more.
Oh, that's the part of the drawing.
Because you
of
were
the-
explaining how our awareness of the chakras changes when we go into that sort of deep meditation.
Yeah.
And so instead of perceiving them at the front, they're moving towards the back, and you perceive them at the back. That's what you said, Cyrus.
Yeah, that report. Yeah, the other line, Carmen, is just the drawing of the guy's back.
Well, this perceiving I didn't understand.
They're just in the back. You don't even have to worry about them. They're there. If they weren't, you'd be dead. Then you can worry about it. You've got another 50 years.
No, but because sometimes I do a meditation where I circle the energy, and you have to circle through all the chakras in the back and the
You
front.
shouldn't be doing that. From everything that my knowledge of being taught, it shouldn't be doing that. I can't stop you, it's your business. But you shouldn't be doing that. You don't need to. All you need to do is follow Pratyahara. Because when you're doing stuff here, your energy's all over. It should be just focused, one point. That's why 90% of things you read in yoga is achieve one-pointedness. You know, be one-pointedness is be one. But we tend, because in the society we live, you got your phones, oh, I got to look at this, oh, yes, oh, look at that, oh, phone call, oh, look. Our energy's scattered all over the place. People want to do this, do that. You're driving, listening to the radio, getting emails. I mean, we're so busy. We're the opposite of one-pointedness. That's why yoga is so difficult in this age. If you can accomplish it, you do well. Yes.
So
Hi.
the Tibetans, I've seen a lot of videos online about the Tibetans doing chanting for specific chakras, centers, like to either open up the chakra or to balance the chakra, stuff like that. Is that something that is just part of their tradition? Or
Yes.
like what's that about?
Well, first, they're Tibetan. They're not Caucasian. I don't want to get into that because that relates to different races. What the Tibetans are part of, and their chakra makeup is different than ours, and it's tradition.
Okay.
Okay. This is for here, given by a Tibetan. There's so much stuff you can get that can make things confusing. But you have to make a decision on what you want to do. I mean, Tibetans, we're chanting in a nice, more melodic voice, but if you look at Tibetans, they really low. It's different work occasions. Things are directed more for us to be more emotional. Their mind works different. It's lots of different things. Very complex issue. I don't want to talk about it. You need a lot of knowledge. But there's so much stuff out there, so it's very difficult. My teacher used to say, if you go back 100 years and you wanted to find occult knowledge, there were very few books. But today, on the New Age and stuff, you got plethora of so much. You can get, and what's online, you can get very confused. So it's best to limit, but you have to find what you like. I've chosen Tibetan Master Yoga, certain aspects of Vajrayana, because they're huge amounts. Is it Saint Milarepa, Tibetan? He never read anything. He's an enlightened being, but his disciples said, well, shouldn't we learn more of the Buddhist sastras and all the different writings? He says, there's so much, you can never learn it all. He says, just focus on one aspect. Another story, there was a great saint, Ramakrishna, in India, and one day he lived for 30 years in this temple called Dakshineswar, which is a very powerful temple outside of Calcutta. And he's walking and he sees this yogi reading a book. And Ramakrishna was like a child. He was like pure essence, pure soul. No games or anything. And he saw something nice, always open and loving. And he just sat down next to this guy and said, well, what you reading? And the yogi said, I'm reading a book about Rama. Oh, I love Ramakrishna. Can I see the book? And he opened the first page, it said Rama. Went to the second page, it said Rama. Third page, every page, it said Rama. That's one pointedness. You can find all sorts of books on Rama, but just focus on Lord Rama. Right? So that's why I'm teaching focus, not scattered here. But everybody has their choice. So. It's always very good to read books about different saints. The stories are uplifting, but they also teach. Now I'm going to try and do something else that I haven't done before. I thought of it when we were chanting here. So you have, I don't know how to draw it. Person, sitting and meditating. The drawing's getting better. So you're trying to focus and create this relationship with the flame. But as you develop this double-pointed arrow and it gets smaller and you start to achieve more deeper Pratyahara and Dharana, you start to, and maybe when you start to feel the feeler, like I put before, feel the feeler. You start to become aware of different levels, and I'm going to try and draw it this way, but it's two-dimensional. I'm thinking of a higher dimensional concept. There are different levels of your being related to past lives. But these past lives are not dead. Aspects of these past lives remain, but they have a certain quality of matter, very, very subtle. And there are different levels. And sometimes you break through a level. I'll give an example. It's in my book. I didn't write it like this, but I was thinking about it. I wasn't really thinking. As we're chanting it, it just popped into my brain. So maybe I'm being inspired, I don't know, at this moment. So, when I first started, and with my teacher, we were studying more Hindu or Indian teaching. we were chanting Gayatri, and we were chanting Om Namo Shivaya. We had moved to mantra, and my teacher loved Shiva. My teacher was Oriental, looked like a Tibetan, but he really he realized from a past life that he really liked Shiva. But I didn't know what I liked. I would chant Gayatri, and I liked the Om Bhu Bhua Swa Tat Salvatur Varanya. I was chanting that, I was saying Om Namo Shivaya. Then I was reversing Om Shiva Nama, reversing it even, experimenting with all different things. And one day when I was in India, I was in a place called Pulgam, which is up in, not far from Srinagar. Kashmir, thank you. And I was going to a place called Amarnath. It's a couple of day trek in the Himalayas. It was magnificent. There is a sacred cave to Shiva about 11,500 feet. Palgam's at about 7,000 feet. I had to get to 12,000 or 11,500. And there's this ancient cave with a ice stalactite or Shiva lingam made in ice. And people usually go there in the full moon in August. It's supposed to glow at night. But hundreds of people go, and people fall off cliffs and things. So I went the month before. There was nobody there. But anyways, so the day before I'm going, I'm walking on this high plateau over Pulgam, and I'm chanting to Lord Shiva, and I'm visualizing, instead of the flame, a Shiva lingam. Everybody know what a Shiva lingam is?
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah, it's like a phallic symbol related to the first ray aspect of creation. And then you have the yoni, that's the receptive aspect. Anyways, visualizing the Shiva lingam, really focused. And all of a sudden the Shiva lingam explodes. Like, really explodes, but from out of the Shiva lingam comes Avalokiteshvara. So I'm thinking, I'm chanting to Lord Shiva, and a Buddhist symbol, or Avalokiteshvara, like the one on the top with 11 heads, 8 arms in my diagram, burst through. And I'm thinking, what the hell, what do I do? Am I Buddhist? Am I Sai-white? I was really confused. I had no idea. But what was happening is I was breaking through a hidden level. Like, this is not really above you. It's integrated on a higher level, but it's the only way. And then later, I went to Balurmoth. You ever been to Balurmoth? Not wrong, the lady behind you. Okay. So that's just outside of Kolkata in Haworth. Okay, and Balurmoth was started by Vivekananda and Brahmananda after the death of Ramakrishna. It's a temple, a beautiful, beautiful place. I'm not going to go into the whole story that what happened there, but when I was meditating there, I broke through something and went into what they call samadhi, into a higher level of consciousness. But in the silence, I was told I'm a Buddhist. So that's breaking through in your past lives. You may be wandering around thinking you're a Kabbalist or a Taoist, but it might be something else. When I was talking the other day about samskara, you break through and you might run into what you had done in the past. It's all going to be different for different people. But there are these different levels. And they hold, could be good, could be bad. Okay, you read my book, there's one individual, when he broke through, he's more of a black magician. Caused a lot of problems for my teacher, 8 years of problems. But those problems caused him to make amazing progress. We have these layers, and as your meditation goes deeper, things come out. My wife had experience of stuff coming out from the past. We were meditating up in Gravenhurst. She saw something like came out of a door. I said, oh no. But things from the past come back as your meditation, and that becomes your path as you work through it. Makes things much more fascinating. Any questions other than that? Yes?
Are these what you are calling the levels of consciousness, or are they levels of your past life?
They're related to both. As your level of consciousness increases, you enter into these. But they also relate to, they're like hidden. Somebody, I can't remember where I read this, and then we're going to take a break because I'm getting tired. Is that our totality of our psychology is like a museum, and we're in one room. In that room, there's maybe a 100-watt bulb, and it creates light, and you can see certain things of your psychology. But you notice with this bulb in the distance, there's a doorway on one side, maybe another door, but the light doesn't go through that other door. You just see darkness. But then as the light, as you meditate, instead of a 100-watt bulb, you put in a 300-watt. And then all of a sudden the light starts to shine into the next rooms. And then you start, oh, there's something else in that room. Said your awareness is expanding and going into other rooms of your personal psychology. If there's no questions, yes, sir.
I was wondering about the 7 rays that you mentioned.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could say a little bit more. I'm not sure what those are. Those related to the 7 chakras?
Yes and no, but no, it's better to look at the 7 rays related to your personality. Okay, so for instance, your intellect will be of a certain ray. Your body will be of a particular ray. Your soul. So the rays give you a picture of the energies that are functioning. Say you have a 3rd ray personality, which means very active, like a financial guy. Very good 3rd rays, investing here, doing business here, very busy. Okay, but let's say he has a 1st ray body. You look like you have a 1st ray body. Usually strong, likes to do very active, strong exercise, gymnastics, or something strong like that. Or if you have a 7th ray body, then you're very neat. How many people, because of the age here, know Fred Astaire from the pictures, the old movies? Yeah. He's 7th ray body, very erect, always dressed extremely well. Even if he wanted to be sloppy and casual, I don't think he could be sloppy. 7th ray, it's organized in the right place. But he might have a 4th ray personality, likes music, likes to be romantic. So the 7 rays flow through, it's a whole big topic on itself, but flow through the personality. They do relate to the chakras, but you don't have to worry about it. It's more to understand your own psychology.
Because we also heard about the 7 planets yesterday. And I was
Yes.
wondering if they were connected.
Totally. Robin, I think, mentioned that pretty clearly. Each planet, you don't look at a planet as a round ball floating in space. Each planet is a great lord. And of the 7 major planets, each one is a lord of a particular ray. But those rays come supposedly from, what is it, the Great Bear or the Pleiades? I forget.
I don't see it so much from outside.
Well, I'm talking Bailey mentioned in esoteric
He sees them as
astrology.
coming down through the heavens, through the stars, through the heavens, down through the planets, and we can receive it as best as we can receive it.
In the Bailey and esoteric astrology, each planet is a custodian for this solar system of one of the rays. I forget which is which, because it's not that interesting.
Like your image with the light.
Pardon me?
If your image with the light, each planet would be like a light, and there's a space between your heart and that planet, and eventually if you internalize it, the planets dissolve, and you're just in the light that you can't see with your eyes.
In the astrological sense. So they come from, I think, either the Great Bear or the Pleiades. the source of the 7 rays through the solar logos, through the planets, and then they're reflected within us. So our soul has a particular ray, and it has a sub-ray, and then manifests through our personality rays. And that makes up our personality. If you're like an engineer, maybe your intellect's very 5th rate, very organized. Everything has to fit. It's all the different rays. But that's a huge study. Yes?
I wanted to ask you, at one point you said in the Atlantean era, you used to do Hatha Yoga, and now it's Raja Yoga?
Yes.
So does that mean that Raja Yoga is dominant now? Like, I mean, or do we neglect the Hatha Yoga, or should we focus on Raja Yoga?
If spiritually, Raja Yoga. Hatha Yoga is good for exercise. You want to be slim, you want to be flexible, healthy, but spiritually, it's Raja Yoga. Yoga of the mind, or the psychology of yoga. That's basically the teaching. Anything else? Yes?
Just a suggestion for the gentleman who was talking about the 7 rays.
Yeah.
There's a book by C.W. Leadbeater on the 7 rays. So if anybody's interested, you can.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Online also.
Yeah. The best book is Esoteric Psychology 1, Volume 1, for the 7 rays. And Leadbeater doesn't. There's not that much on the 7 rays. There's a handful of books. But the Tibetan Master Esoteric Psychology 1, he goes through it pretty good.
The whole treatise.
Pardon?
Daly's treatise on the 7 rays. It's the psychology, the astrology,
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
levels of it.
But one to start. It's not a thick book, but yes, exactly. Anything else? We take a break, and then we're going to try the next part. Anything? Okay, take a break. 15 minutes, 20 minutes.